One of the reasons I listen to podcasts is to have a little adult conversation added to my day, even if it isn't me having that conversation. Mouse and Weens is a great podcast if you're lacking adult conversation in your life. The sisters have a great rapport and they have interesting conversations. I'm Andy Smiley, the Friendly Podcast Guide. I'm a mom who has used podcasts to fight the boredom and loneliness of motherhood, and now I want to help you find a podcast that can do the same thing for you. It can be overwhelming to try and find a podcast you'll enjoy in the thousands of shows that are out there. That's where I come in. My episodes are short and they answer all of the questions you'll have about the podcast, so you'll know if it's a good fit for you or not. I'm here to help you find a podcast you'll love without wasting your time. Now, let's talk podcasts. Julianne and Joelle describe the show like this. Two sisters, one single in Hollywood, one settled in the suburbs. Join us on this adventure through a conversation of human behavior. The length of each episode is between an hour to an hour and a half. The series is ongoing with new episodes available once a month. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we're going to take a quick break to talk about my guide to kid podcasts. One of my favorite parenting tools is kid podcasts. I use them when I'm running errands with the kiddos to keep them from complaining the whole time, or when I need a mom break, I'll just grab an easy activity like coloring pages or a sensory bin, turn on a kid podcast, and the kids will be entertained for at least half an hour. I know that kid podcasts would help you in your life too, which is why I made a guide to kid podcasts. There are 8 different categories ranging from science to mindfulness to audio drama, with at least 3 podcasts in each category. There are 27 podcasts in total on the guide. I've listened to each of the podcasts, so I can attest to them being kid-friendly. And I put my email at the bottom of the guide so that if you try a couple with your kids and none of them are a good fit, you can email me and I will personally help you find a kid podcast that works for your littles and you. You can grab this guide at the link in the show notes. Now we get to hear from Joelle and Julianne as they talk about their relationship as sisters and how that has played a big role in the podcast. Joelle and Julianne, welcome to the Friendly Podcast Guide. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you.
We're excited to be
here.
First of all, before we dive in, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. Yep. We are Mouse and Weens. We're sisters. I'm Joelle. I'm Mouse. I am a mom living down in San Diego and married and doing the whole suburban life. And
I'm Weens, and I was up in LA doing the film business life. And now I'm doing grad school life. So,
yep.
That is different.
That's us.
But also both stressful. So,
yeah, really. I know. I thought I was leaving a stressful job to go to a kind of a more mellow life. But yeah, both stressful.
Yeah. So you've got to tell me, what made you want to start your podcast?
Well, this was kind of my baby brainchild, and Julianne jumped right on board. But I was a new stay-at-home mom, and I had just moved to a new area. And frankly, I was kind of lonely. And so I started listening to this radio morning show. And I got really involved with her life and her day-to-day, thoughts and comments, and learned all the characters on the show kind of and the people that would come in, and really felt that camaraderie. And it eased my lonelies, really. And it was fun. It was neat catching up in the world and feeling young and hip again and whatever. So I was just in that world for a while, raising kids. And then the show went off the air. So I heard about this thing called podcast, and I started looking for a podcast similar to that and just couldn't find it. And was like, wow, it's interesting. There aren't many just chat, fun, feel like you're hanging out with your girlfriends kind of podcasts. And I would call Julianne all the time. She was in LA. She's in the middle of working on movies and TV and, all these exotic stories and musicians. And I would get all my stories from her and feel connected again. And then kind of thought, well, why don't we just record these and share them with others and keep them for posterity's sake? And so honestly, within probably 48 hours, we researched it, made a logo, recorded an episode, and posted it. And we had our first episode. And that was, I think, 5 years ago. So
wow, good for
that
you.
Was it. Yeah. That was kind of how it all started.
And there was something about I like to speak about the imperfection part of it, of just do it. Because if you try to get too perfectionist, I will speak for myself, but probably for some others, and you might not ever get it started. So we just kind of roughed it out in the beginning and just said, we'll figure it out as we go. And that was helpful.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That's a really good tip for anyone in any creative endeavor. I definitely overthink it sometimes. So just hopping in and being like, you know what? It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. And we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And live with mediocrity. Because that could help with the perfectionist part.
It's true. I'm totally a perfectionist. And now I look back at our first episodes, which at the time I thought were wonderful. And now I kind of cringe. And we did kind of store them away behind the Patreon paywall.
It was embarrassing.
Because we were really letting it loose. That was our other thing. In the beginning, we were anonymous. And so we were sharing deep, dark secrets and stories that probably shouldn't be public and we may not want my kids to hear. So those, once we kind of put our names to our faces and came out, I stuck those away a little bit. But now we're okay. Now the kids are older and I'm like, well, whatever, they can hear our crazy stories.
Maybe.
Sure. Well, and I feel like a Patreon's a great place to store them. Then if people really like you and they want to support you, then they can know the deep dark secrets too.
That's right.
There you go.
And there they are.
I love it. So what do you want people to get out of your podcast?
I would say just that feeling of being with friends, the feeling of hearing chit chat and being a fly on the wall and I don't know, not feeling lonely. I think that's the goal, is to create joy and laughter and share her stories. I just love Julianne's life. And that was also part of it. I loved you're stuck in suburban world, mom world, but here's this exotic Hollywood girl over here hanging with the likes of Keanu Reeves and Jack Black and,
She likes celebrity stories. I think we were raised in a house that was very celebrity focused. And so it's always tantalizing, right? But everybody likes a good celebrity story, right?
Oh,
or some
definitely.
people.
She's so cool. Now it's like no big deal to her. But for me, I'm still, wow, this is great. So anyway, I love that we can share those with people and kind of get them out there. Plus, she's a really artistic, creative musician and film and just funny. And
wow, you're really turning the spotlight over here.
I need a new manager.
Hey, I love it.
And my latest endeavor has been to try to get her coupled up.
Oh yeah, so she's trying to force me into the dating life. This is like juicy podcasting right here. Except she's more excited than I am. I think it's terrible.
I want to go shopping for a man on Tinder for her, and she's like, "I'm a little busy for dating right now." So.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I would agree. She is kind of busy right now, but
she is. But anyway, it's not, I just want to say also though, it's a nice balance, I think, from the reviews that we've heard. It's just kind of hearing stories about the similar topics, but from different points of view, from a mother versus a single person.
So it's not all fluff, but there's a good balance, I think.
Yeah.
So we have fun.
That is a beautiful part about podcasts, at least for me as a mom of littles. And other than the podcast, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I guess I work from home, so whatever. But podcasts really do help me feel less lonely. And when I listened to your episode, I definitely felt just like part of the conversation. At one point, I definitely talked back at you two, and you weren't there. But it was really fun. It would just help me feel a little less lonely as I was doing laundry and like all of my normal things. It just was like, oh, I've got two friends that are doing something fun and talking about their Christmas break. So that was really fun. So thank you. It's been a delight to listen.
You're welcome. You were probably talking to us when we were like, what's the name of that one thing? We do that a lot too.
Little rambles.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's conversational. And thank you for listening. That's so sweet.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I always like to listen to at least one episode, and I already have a couple more in the queue. But just so I can get a feel for what your podcast is like so we can talk about it. So
absolutely.
Yes, I'm really glad, because I love to share with moms podcasts that can help them feel less lonely, because that's a big part of motherhood that people don't really talk about.
Yeah, big time. And my kids, we started and they were 13, 12, all the way down to, I think, 5 or 6. And now they've grown up, so there's a good 5-year span of me going through all the parenting stuff and then asking her as the cool auntie am I overthinking it? What should I do? There was like sex ed in school, and now my oldest has a girlfriend, and I don't know what the rules are with bringing the girlfriend over, and college is the next phase. So yeah, if you jump into the old episodes, you can follow right along with all the stages. It's quite
Which is a
interesting.
great way, I'll say, for the moms out there, that you're archiving a lot about yourself for your kids, and they're going to hear stories about themselves, and it's great for a kid to listen back. Go, what was happening in my life at that point?
True, yeah, and get their little voices. Sometimes they pop on the show, and it's good.
Oh, that's fun. That's super fun. So I feel like we've kind of talked about how your show is conversational, but how would you describe the vibe of your show?
Casual, thoughtful,
and fun. I think just coming from the same family and having a mom and dad with a sense of humor. I think we try to infuse humor in there just to make it kind of fun.
Yeah, and it's a quirky kind of show too. I think we may not hit everybody's sense of humor, but we think it's fun, funny. To us, it's normal, but sometimes it's a little off. But whatever, people tend to find the thing that they like out of it. Like, oh, I really like the dynamic between you and your mom. When you brought your mom on the show, that was interesting to hear her stories. And I don't have that relationship with my mom, so I like that. Or but I think the lightheartedness and the fun is
cool. I've heard that from someone who doesn't have a great relationship with their sister and said, it was nice to hear how that's possible. And
we do like the idea that we're helping people at some level. And we're also here for people to reach out to us and talk to us about stuff too. Because, there's like mental health issues that pop up here and there. We've done episodes about that. And
also my sister. It's important.
Yeah.
I think just 1 out of 4 people are on some kind of anti-anxiety or antidepressants right now. That's a big one. So I like to talk about that.
If we can provide that connection or be a resource or whatever we are.
Or community. And you say community is being important. I think we've gotten very detached from a central community, a lot of us. So there's a lot of loneliness in the world right now, which are why podcasts are beautiful.
That's right.
Definitely.
Hop in.
I completely agree. I feel like, podcasts are such a great way to find a community that works for you and like fits what you want. And that is yet another reason why I make my podcast, is to help people, moms especially, to find that group of people that they can vibe with and feel like a connection with. I want to hear what your favorite episodes are, but before you tell me that, to give you a second to think, can you tell me, where can people find you?
Yes, we are very easy to find. Everything is Mouse and Weens. So you spell out and you spell out Weens, Weens. So Mouse and Weens. And that's our handle on all the social media, YouTube, mouseandweens.com, all the podcast platforms. So that's it. That's
perfect. I will make sure to link all of that in the show notes so that people can find you.
Great. Thank you. Yeah.
Of course. And okay, so now is the big reveal. What are each of your favorite episodes? Or couple, because I know it's hard to choose.
It is hard to choose. There's so many. Let's see. I would say a good place to start and maybe get a fun sense of who we are would be our 100th episode.
Okay.
We kind of did a medley of different kind of contests and lists and snippets and songs and things like that. We also do interviews, and there have been some really good interviews too. What do you think, Jules?
Steve Ferrone came to mind, who's the drummer for Tom Petty, and his was pretty thoughtful and interesting. And he talks a lot about going on the road with different artists. So that was fun.
Yeah, he played with everybody.
I want to say the Angry White Men, but I don't.
Oh no.
No, who else? Yeah, John Mayer. He's on the road with them right now. And so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Beatles stories.
Yeah. Beatles. He played with this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And lots of fun interviews. And then there's some silly ones. There was one that where Julianne was in an improv kind of mode. And we were talking about the fact that you had slept with Yanni, the pan flute guy, or the saxophonist. What does he play?
It could be true.
She was pretending like he was just waking up behind her in the bed, and she was, oh, honey, stop. That one had me laughing so hard. It was just a weird mood that morning. So that one's fun. I
It was
don't know.
a great morning.
Scroll through the episodes and you'll see. Oh, moms might like the most recent interview we did with Jamie Grumet. She was on the cover of Time magazine, breastfeeding her son who was standing up. He's a 4-year-old. I don't know if everyone remembers that, but
about attachment parenting.
Yeah, it was very
How long do you
controversial.
breastfeed? And she caused a stir.
Yeah, they did skits about her on Saturday Night Live, the breastfeeding mom. And so, but now 10 years later, she talks about what that was like. So that's kind of a good one.
That would be a good one. Yeah. Okay, I'll make sure to link all of those too, so people can jump straight to wherever they want to go.
Okay. Thanks.
And then, most of my listeners are moms, so I like to ask, is your podcast okay for little ears?
Probably not. We tried a better mouth. This one.
No, every once in a while we'll get a little
saucy.
No, I would say it's like watching Saturday Night Live. It's like, late night TV. So it's not bad. And if they're little, it'll go right over their heads.
Light wiener talk sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're kind of like 12-year-old boys in our sense of humor also.
Yeah.
Sure. So probably headphones would be a better fit, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, at least one headphone.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Fabulous. That's all I need to know. As a mom, I like to just know if I need to put headphones in or if I can just like have it going in the car or whatever. So perfect. Yeah. I don't really, I have a mix of both kinds and that I like. And so being able to just know what I'm getting into is all I need. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up our conversation?
She smokes grass.
Oh, stop it. No.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, kudos to all the moms out there, everybody balancing anything, the students out there, and finding time to listen to podcasts, I think is great. And I appreciate what you're doing with your show. And
thank you.
Shout out to everybody listening.
Woo!
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I cannot wait to share you with my listeners and let all of them in on your fabulous conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you know someone who could use Mouse and Weens in their life, will you share this episode with them? And if you want to try out Kid Podcast with your family, but don't know where to start, grab my Kid Podcast guide to find the perfect podcast for your littles. Talk to you soon. Technology makes it so that I can do this and also be a stay-at-home mom. So I'm forever grateful.
Yes, same.
Love it. Yay, technology gods.
Yay.